The death of legendary Marilyn Monroe has always left the public in shock and filled with questions, even decades later. But what is the true cause behind the demise of this immortal beauty icon? Buckle up, because Frank Sinatra is about to completely shatter everything we've come to believe about the tragic death of Marilyn Monroe. The night Marilyn Monroe died. At 3:30 a.m. on August 5, 1962, Marilyn Monroe's psychiatrist, Dr. Ralph Greenson, broke into her bedroom by smashing a window to find the actress dead in her bed with an empty bottle of sleeping pills on her nightstand. Monroe's housekeeper, Eunice Murray, had awakened in the middle of the night to find a light on in Marilyn's room and the door locked. Murray called Dr. Greenson, worried that something was amiss. Or at least that's what was reported at the time. In a Netflix documentary, The Mystery of Marilyn Monroe, The Unheard Tapes, Monroe's biographer, Anthony Summers, presents a new timeline of events of the night Monroe died, deduced from hundreds of interviews conducted for an updated version of his 1985 biography, Goddess. Featuring new audio interviews with members of Dr. Greenson's family, the new documentary addresses rumors and inconsistencies surrounding Monroe's death. The Mystery of Marilyn Monroe also digs into the Niagara actress's alleged romantic relationships, President John F. Kennedy, and his brother, Attorney General Robert Kennedy. An interview with the widow of Monroe's press relations manager, Arthur Jacobs, produced the most significant breakthrough for Summers in disputing the well-known timeline of Monroe's death. According to the documentary, around 10:30 p.m. on August 4th, an attendant alerted Jacobs that something was terribly wrong while they were at the Hollywood Bowl, evidently much earlier than the highly publicized 3:30 a.m. discovery of Monroe's dead body. "That's not true, because my husband was there. My husband fudged everything off," Jacobs' wife says in the tape played in Netflix's doc. Instead, Summers corroborates with several members of the ambulance team that Marilyn had in reality been taken to the hospital by ambulance late that evening still alive, and died en route to the hospital. In the documentary, Murray states on tape that Robert Kennedy was at Monroe's home in the afternoon on the day she died. In the days leading up to her death, Monroe told a friend that she was very much in love and was going to marry Bobby Kennedy. Murray also states that Kennedy and Monroe had a terrible fight the day of her death. The documentary confirms that Kennedy flew to the airport in a helicopter to catch a flight around 2 or 3 a.m. on the night of Monroe's death. Marilyn Monroe's untimely death at the age of 36 has always been shrouded in mystery. Though many debunk inconsistencies in the timeline of the events of Monroe's death, the ultimate mysteries presented in The Mystery of Marilyn Monroe, the role that the Kennedys played in Marilyn's life, government fears of her ties to communism, who was there on the day of her death, and what they know, still remain mysteries. Monroe's death became major news, both in the US and Europe. Historian Lois Banner noted a spike in the suicide rate in Los Angeles and increased newspaper circulation following her death. French artist Jean Cocteau commented on the negative impact of public scrutiny on celebrities, while her former co-stars and directors expressed their sorrow and admiration for her. Her funeral took place at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery on August 8, 1962. It was a private service attended by close associates, including Joe DiMaggio, her ex-husband. DiMaggio, who had arranged the funeral, barred the Kennedy family and most of Hollywood from attending, expressing his discontent with their involvement in Monroe's life. Monroe was buried in a simple green dress, and her twin bronze casket was adorned with baby pink roses. DiMaggio was visibly distraught, and for the next 20 years, he sent roses to her grave. Monroe's crypt is located in the Corridor of Memories, and it remains a site of pilgrimage and remembrance. The truth about her death. Over the decades, numerous conspiracy theories have emerged, suggesting alternative causes for Monroe's death, including murder or accidental overdose. These theories gained prominence with Norman Mailer's 1973 biography of Monroe and led to a threshold investigation by the Los Angeles County District Attorney in 1982. However, no evidence of foul play was found, and the official ruling of suicide remained. In his memoir, Sinatra and Me, in the Wee Small Hours, Tony Opedisano reveals Frank Sinatra's belief that Marilyn Monroe's death on August 4, 1962, was not an accidental overdose, but a murder. According to Opedisano, Sinatra, who was a close friend of Monroe's, was deeply affected by her death and remained haunted by it. He wrote that Sinatra never believed Monroe's death was a result of an accidental overdose, but rather suspected foul play. Sinatra's suspicion was fueled by several factors. Monroe had been involved in high-profile relationships with John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy, and it was rumored that she was planning to hold a press conference about these relationships shortly before her death. Sinatra believed that if this press conference had not been announced, Monroe might have lived longer. He was also informed by his attorney, Mickey Rudin, and others, with connections to organized crime, that Monroe had been killed with a Nembutal suppository, possibly implicating Robert Kennedy or the mob. Sinatra's belief was shared among some of his associates and rumored within circles connected to mob boss Sam Giancana. Despite these suspicions, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to support the theory of murder. Opedisano's memoir sheds light on how deeply Sinatra was affected by Monroe's death and how it lingered in his thoughts over the decades. In his later years, Sinatra often reminisced about Monroe and other close friends, reflecting on their lives and losses. Opedisano's book aims to reveal a more personal side of Sinatra, sharing stories that show the emotional depth of the music icon. Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra had a deep and multifaceted friendship that unfolded over several years. They first met in the 1950s, and Sinatra was immediately captivated by Monroe's allure and complexity. While their relationship never turned romantic, they shared a strong bond built on mutual respect and admiration. Sinatra was drawn to Monroe's charisma and found her both beautiful and troubled. Their friendship provided Monroe with a source of support during difficult times. Sinatra was one of the few people she felt comfortable confiding in about her personal struggles, including her relationships and her battles with mental health. The two spent time together at various events, and Monroe's visit to the Cal Neva Lodge, a resort Sinatra partly owned, highlighted their connection. Although their interactions were often private, Monroe's presence at the lodge and her time spent with Sinatra's circle illustrated the depth of their friendship. Sinatra remained a loyal friend to Monroe, understanding her vulnerabilities and struggles. In the years following Monroe's death, Sinatra's reflections on their friendship revealed how much he valued her. Despite the intense public scrutiny and personal challenges Monroe faced, Sinatra's support was a significant part of her life, and his memories of their time together reflected the genuine affection he had for her.